Oh, how the mighty have fallen. The Hugo Awards, the science fiction and fantasy genre's version of the Oscars, was once a prestigious thing. To have Hugo Award nominated or Hugo Award winner on your book was a testament to your skill, talent, and quality of storytelling. It was a marker to let readers know that this was a book you definitely wanted to read. If a writer managed the feat of getting a Nebula Award as well, kind of like a BAFTA Award, well then, it was a virtual sin not to read the book. But around 2010, things began to change. People involved in Worldcon, who host the Hugo Awards, began injecting far-left politics into the nomination process, resulting in predominantly women, minorities, and LGBT authors winning awards, regardless of the book's popularity or sales. This is always a problem with award ceremonies. We see this with the Oscars all the time. The films usually nominated for Best Picture, and certainly the ones that win, are often not the films the general audience enjoys or even saw. This happens with comics as well with the Eisners and Harvey Awards. This happens with the Grammys. This is just how awards work, and we all understand it's unfair. However, the unfairness is biased in a particular way. The awards go to people's friends or business associates. It's unfair, but we can at least understand how it's unfair. Where people usually get really pissed off is when it looks like someone was deliberately screwed out of an award, especially for political reasons. So, not nominating any black people for Best Actor and Actress at the Oscars, despite numerous highly praised lead performances, looks deliberate. No rap albums winning Best Album at the Grammys looks deliberate. But that also works the other way around, where suddenly only or the majority of people getting nominations and awards are not white, not male, and not straight. And it looks odd because the speculative fiction industry is dominated by straight white male authors. They produce the majority of the books you see, so for none of them to be nominated, let alone win, unless they're known for their progressive politics, looks suspicious. And this is exactly what some people thought. So in 2013, writer Larry Carrera started the Sad Puppies campaign to introduce a more diverse set of nominees to the Hugo Awards. This was fairly easy to do because anyone who bought a Worldcon membership could submit and vote for books. Since the Hugo Awards inception, there has been a concern that people were gaming the awards, and this has happened before, particularly with L. Ron Hubbard. So Carrera's assumption that far-left cliques deliberately nominated certain writers had merit. The plan consisted of Carrera introducing a number of books and authors and suggesting people submit and vote for them. In 2014, he wanted to block vote this list, ensuring that all the people on that list would get through. That worked to a degree, but none of his nominees won. In 2015, Brad Torkelson took over and basically did the same thing. This one I remember because the Honey Badgers covered this, having several people affiliated with Sad Puppies on their live streams to discuss the fallout from the 2015 Hugo Awards. What happened is that in every category where only the Sad Puppies nominees were listed, the category received no award. Keep in mind, the nominees were not all white, all male, all straight, or all conservative. Rather than award anyone nominated by Sad Puppies, Worldcon decided to issue no awards. There were 5. In the entire history of the Hugo Awards, which began in 1953, there had only been 5 no awards, the most recent being in 1977. This was completely unprecedented and proved there was indeed a bias against white, male, straight, and conservative writers, to the point that if they even nominated people, the nominations would be rejected, even if their nominees weren't straight, white, conservative men. On the Honey Badgers live stream, I think it was Brad who said that he brought his teenage son to the Hugo Awards to try to get him interested in science fiction, but after watching this happen in person, where people applauded that no awards were given, it completely turned his son off the genre. So this is what happened to the Hugo Awards. They've been reduced to the Purse Puppy Awards, where only women, minorities, gays, and trans people will win, with the exception of very woke white dudes like Neil Gaiman and John Scalzi. And if you belong to any of the diversity groups, but don't profess far-left politics, you won't win either. The only people who win awards now are those on the far left, and they win for being far left, not for the literary merit of their work. So in comes George R.R. Martin hosting the 2020 Hugo Awards. You would think the controversy would be that he failed to complete a book he's had well over a decade to finish, and again missed his own deadline, which was supposed to be July 31st, 2020. But no. The controversy is over Martin mispronouncing people's names, a magazine's name, and mentioning John W. Campbell in a favorable manner. Campbell was a science fiction writer who expressed very questionable views about black people, slavery, and segregation. He previously had an award named after him, but in 2019, Jeanette Ning bitched about him being a fascist and supporting straight white male characters, so Worldcon changed the name of the award. These people are currently flipping out on social media because an old dude mispronounced the word fire as fire, and spoke positively about the writings of a famous author who held some racist views because God forbid you separate the artist from his art. Keep in mind, all the reactions are claiming that Martin intentionally tried to derail the Hugo Awards and its great show of faux diversity by talking about white men. You're trying to prove you're anti-racist by being racist. You're trying to prove you're anti-sexist by being sexist. And you're awarding people like Jeanette Ning, who is openly racist against white people, with an award for literally being racist. I'm not making this up. This year, she won a Hugo Award for the speech she gave last year where she called John Campbell a fascist and trashed straight white men. This is the current state of science fiction and fantasy. Mind you, there are plenty of great novels and authors out there. It's just that none of them usually get nominated. When you read the synopsis of most of the winners' stories, it's all far-left politics. It's never about the world the author created and using that as a metaphor for the real world. No, it's literally real-world politics slapped in the middle of some fantasy world or a half-assed space opera where nothing interesting happens. As Brad Torkinson said years ago, quote, "The book has a spaceship on the cover, but is it really going to be a story about space exploration and pioneering daring-do? Or is the story merely about racial prejudice and exploitation with interplanetary or interstellar trappings?" I'm not saying you can't make those books. You can, and sometimes you can make them work. I am saying that it makes no sense to set the story in that setting if the setting has fuck all to do with the story you're telling. If you can remove the setting and it changes nothing, then the story doesn't need to be set there. And ultimately, a number of the stories fall into that category. They're forgettable, they're generic, they're identical. George R. R. Martin, for all his failure to finish his own story, is still a talented writer who can create an interesting world with interesting characters where he can explore different concepts within the framework of that world. The writers trashing him couldn't write the worst chapters of A Song in Fire and Ice on their best day. They want to tear him down, but they can't because he's too popular, so they use the man's inability to get names right as their method of attack. Never mind that he fucks up white people's names several times during the awards, and numerous times in interviews over the years, and doesn't even pronounce his own characters' names consistently. David Peterson, who created the languages for the Game of Thrones show, talked about how this was a problem because he wanted to stay true to Martin's phonology, but it was all over the place. So to go after Martin for not pronouncing names properly, and whining about him talking about an author's work is just petty. And keep in mind, these are the same people who defended and still hold in high regard Marion Zimmer Bradley, whose daughter accused her of sexual abuse in 2015. They tout Zimmer Bradley's Miss the Babylon series as a great work of fiction, even though she allegedly molested her daughter. So this is the morality we're dealing with. Say some black people prefer to be slaves, which is what John Campbell said, and we can never talk about your work again. But molest your daughter, allegedly, and we still revere you. Maybe Martin wasn't mispronouncing your names on purpose. Maybe he just wasn't taking your dumbasses seriously. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.